This is Robert Murglachi, the MindShare Learning Report, Canada's Learning and Technology e-magazine. And welcome to This Week in Canadian EdTech, as we're here for a special edition at COSIN 2022 in Nashville. I'm honored to have join me a Canadian colleague of mine, Wayne Toms, who is the Executive Director of ECNO in Ontario. I'll get him to describe what ECNO is in a moment, but he's one of the awesome EdTech leaders, former CIO in the Limestone School District, and continues to make an impact provincially now as he segued into a new chapter. Speaking of Segway, I just rode back on a scooter, which I wish we had in our region, because I was 2 minutes early for our meeting because we were out at lunch with Dr. Gary Stager.
And in one piece.
I was a little concerned, I'll be honest with you. But no helmet. And so the laws, the safety laws are a little loose perhaps. But it's been a great 3 days here. Awesome event for the Consortium of Schools Networking that really caters to meeting the needs of district CTOs from across North America. There were a few token Canadians like us here that are here to learn and share. And Wayne, perhaps talk a little bit about ECNO and why you're here.
So the COSIN group, Keith and some of his staff, came to Canada, as you may recall, towards the end of 2019. And we actually joined in on a collaborative session virtually before virtual was cool.
Right.
And we connected. And so Keith and I followed up and connected after that. And we were planning to arrive here in 2020, actually in Washington, D.C. And I think it was about a week before the conference. And, COVID hit and everything got shut down. And so we've kind of been trying to connect over the past 2 years, and this was our opportunity to come to the conference, meet Keith and his staff in person, have some conversations with them. What are the synergies between our two organizations? What is the value that's happening in COSIN that we could potentially bring to Ontario through ECNO, and just kind of opening up that box to see what others are doing out there.
Absolutely. Really interesting sitting in on some of the sessions around equity, diversity, and well-being, which are very much, when we talk about top trends, that's very much an issue. And equity in terms of digital learning, the pandemic spurred innovation in a big way, with most of the districts going one-to-one and shipping out Chromebooks and iPads. What was your sense around that, and how are we doing in Canada?
Well, and you know what, to my CIO colleagues out in the field, just huge kudos to them, to the work that they've achieved over the last 2 years. They've never say the word pivot in front of them, because they cringe whenever you hear that. But they've done yeoman's work. They delivered all those devices out to the schools. They are out to the kids. They provided them with hot points for people that didn't have internet access. The equity piece, there were challenges. Those guys, the group of CIOs in Ontario, just trudged forward and made it happen on behalf. And it's I'm not sure that we're definitely heading down the path of virtual learning all the time. But we know we can do it if we have to. I think is the critical piece. And there's a lot of teacher education that's got to happen before we go.
That's an excellent point. The professional learning, because and I keep reminding people, it was crisis learning at its best.
100%.
Without the CIOs and the EdTech solution providers, it would have been paper packages being shipped to homes, which would not have been any better. So is kindergarten learning online elegant? Not at all. It's not recommended. But now we're back in school, and part of the inspiration of our Fall EdTech Leadership Summit is looking at the state of EdTech and driving innovation through evidence-based. Let's talk about that for a moment. Like, there's been some great examples of what's worked.
100%. And early on in the pandemic, I was invited by the group at Fair Chance Learning to sit on a a panel about, reimagining education in the future. And I remember the conversations we were having in April, May, and June of 2020 about,
Right.
well, it'll be so nice once September rolls around and we're back to normal, right? That didn't happen.
No.
Here we are 2 years later. Normal really isn't on our, on the radar really yet.
Right.
And but I think that people have done a lot of research over those 2 years, and I think it will bring some strong pedagogical changes in the future that will help to support those the students that need it. I mean, we talk about people that struggle, the kids that struggled through this. Anecdotally, I heard a lot of those kids that struggled in face-to-face learning did fantastic.
Some of them thrived.
Yeah.
Some of them thrived.
There's models that support every learner, right? And again, it comes back to personalized learning, right?
Absolutely. And one of the interesting things I heard out of the sessions was one school district, in terms of meeting the needs of the learners during the pandemic. Some, in the warmer climates, they live in trailer parks. That's a lifestyle that some people live by, and they erected an antenna at the trailer park to provide ubiquitous internet. And another superintendent in Texas who talked to me about the rural regionality of his district and so widespread, they partnered with Skylink and Elon Musk to have a satellite hovering around to enable that. So there's a lot of innovative things that we don't hear about at the district or the school level that need to be shared. Those problem solving skills for CIO types like yourselves. I mean, it's never been more challenging, and some people thrive on that in helping people. At the end of the day, it's about impacting student learning.
And one of the things that I picked up out of this was, I don't want to use the word respect, but in a lot of cases, CIOs maybe didn't have the respect of their peers around the senior
at the main table. Yeah, that's a good point.
And I think that following this 2 years, it's a whole new respect. Right?
100%.
It is. Yeah. And there's, I forget who said it, but never avoid a good crisis.
Yeah.
Right. And so people have taken advantage of it and shown what they could do.
Absolutely. Dr. Steve Jordan talks about the threat of the great snapback.
Right.
Psychologist from the University of Toronto that we've interviewed a number of times. And that's the challenge, is to, take the positives, the good innovations that came out of it, but move forward. But there are some challenges around cybersecurity and safety of kids. So, and that's an area you focus on research on certain priority areas. And I presume that's one of them.
100%. In fact, that's been most of my week here, is attending sessions on cybersecurity. With ECNO, we offer security services to a number of our boards.
Right.
And the themes were common here, right? Number one being small districts just don't have the resources to hire cyber security staff. Right. We have the same challenges in Ontario. We've helped them to address that with the shared model that we provide to boards. And the other piece is that it's the number one issue in school boards. It's like cybersecurity has just become so prevalent everywhere. The hackers, the ransomware people have identified school boards. They are, they may not be well protected because of the fact they can't get the resources to protect themselves. And because they're taxpayers, they have the ability to pay, right?
I heard a story in Ottawa that was in the papers last
in the
fall that a French school board ended up getting attacked, and they had to pay the ransom. And so we're not immune to it in Canada.
Certainly not. No.
But certainly a lot of parallels that we've seen here. One of the interesting other anecdotes I learned was one of the districts, one of the award-winning superintendents, had student tech support, and apparently
I saw that
95% of all the work that was done around the laptops or Chromebooks were handled by students.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that it says something about giving them agency. When you give kids
Agreed.
agency,
Yep.
thoughts?
100%. And I know that there's been a pilot programs isn't maybe the word for it,
Yeah,
but there's
been
been
happening in our backyard too.
100%. I know of boards in Ontario that have done those types of things as
Right.
well. And or even a situation, a school board where you got a high school kid that's trying to crack your network. So you go and have a conversation with them,
Right.
say, take your black hat off, come get a white hat on,
Yes.
and work with us.
I heard about that Dufferin Peel School Board, Peter Fujiwara at the time. He recruited a kid that was hacking their system, and he ended up working at Nortel back in the
There you
day.
go.
So
Yeah.
so there is that opportunity to turn
Yep.
kids around and
Yep.
give them agency to be on the other side. And so when you hear stories of that nature, and part of our mission is to share the best practices and success stories across Canada and beyond, because there are truly pockets of innovation.
Sure.
And we don't hear some of those stories. So
Nope.
I think storytelling is really the rage now. And I encourage our viewers to check in with us and share. And of course, we have our Canadian Schools of Future Student Innovation Challenge that we've launched, and it's our 14th year, believe it or not.
Wow.
And it's really encouraging teachers to give students challenges around the sustainable development goals to solve a real world problem within the school community. So, and we got some great prizes from awesome sponsors. So, but again, we want to help, share stories and illuminate some of the cool things that are happening where kids are learning in new and innovative ways, and it really personalizes the learning.
100%. And right now, following on the lead of MindShare,
Yeah.
ECNO is sponsoring a cyber poster contest,
Cool.
and so we've sent it out to all of our schools in the province, and we're hoping to get submissions. Winners will be announced at our conference in June,
Fantastic.
and those posters will be part of our Cyber Awareness Month promotion.
Well, if they want to piggyback on our contest, submit to both, and
exactly,
and you can win some awesome prizes as well. So, Wayne, final thoughts to share as we get set for the final closing keynote here in Nashville. What a great city!
It really is. It's I've been, my wife was unable to travel with me this time. She normally comes with me to these type of things, but I've been sharing with her that it's so handy to everything right where we are here. This is a wonderful location. COSN is a wonderful conference. Probably similar in size to our ECNO conference when you look at the number of people that are here. And I've really enjoyed it, and I look forward to engaging with COSN and their team in the future, and see if we can't help solve some of these problems all over North America.
And same with us on the Wear My C21 hat and the CIO Alliance we launched. I think there's some of the certification programs that they offer
100%,
are really valuable to across North America. So we look forward to exploring synergies with ECNO as well. And it's been great. Who would have known the Canadian Music Awards were on the other day? We got to catch that, and Bryan Adams. So I can't say enough about this city and the kindness of the people, and we enjoyed it in all the splendor. And today is a sunny day. Fortunately, yesterday was pouring rain, and apparently we're going to get some hurricane type winds. So I'm staying another night and going to the Grand Ole Opry just to be safe. Wonderful. So with that, thank you so much for your time. Wayne Thoms, Executive Director of ECNO. My name is Robert Margolacci, the MindShare Learning Report. Be sure to check out www.mindshare Learning to get your latest issue. And until next time, stay healthy, stay safe, and keep the learning curve steep.